Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
How you doing, man?
Good. I'm feeling good. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Got myself a brewski. We have an awesome movie to talk about. It's been pretty good, man. It's been pretty good. We've been sitting on this one for quite some time. So.
Longer than anticipated, I would say.
Yeah.
Had some hiccups along the way. He fell ill on Monday, and we had some technical issues, to put it mildly, on Tuesday. And here we are on Wednesday, ready to go, ready to talk about some Annihilation. I will say, honestly, this is the kind of movie that having a few extra days to really just kind of sit and think about it kind of does it wonders in some ways. So I'm excited to talk about it. I mean, I've been dying to talk about it for definitely a couple days now, but I do think that kind of being able to sit and marinate on the whole experience of it, I think it's going to help the discussion of the movie when we do get there. I did actually want to start with something that is a bit of a follow-on to what I talked about on last week's episode. So I shit on the USA men's curling team.
Oh, and yeah, son of a bitch.
I'd like to issue a formal apology to the men's curling team from the United States, because those motherfuckers came home with the gold. I don't know how they pulled it off. They did it when I wasn't looking. I was looking the other way when it happened, but they sure proved me wrong, so I kind of feel like an idiot now. But again, it does show you how much I know about curling, so I suppose, it's not terribly surprising.
America, man. We come through.
In the spirit of talking about things that we started last week, I mean, you got to have another fun fact lined up for me, right?
I do have a fun fact for you, man.
Is it gherkin level?
It's not gherkin level. To be honest with you, it's been kind of a hectic week for me, but I was able to pull what I think is it's kind of an interesting fact.
Bring it.
Dragon's milk. What do you think? What do you think composes dragon's milk?
I have no response for that. You're going to have to help me.
Dragon's milk is a rich, roasty, and creamy with heavy notes of vanilla.
Vanilla, interesting.
Yes. It does have a familiar warmth of earthy tones, and it tends to remind you of life events, big or small. That's dragon's milk.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's actually a bourbon barrel-aged stout, to be honest. It's not true dragon's milk. Did not come from the teat of a dragon. It came from a oak barrel. But anyways, it's pretty good, and it pairs well with red meat, smoked foods, balsamic, rich cheeses, and dark chocolate. So there you go, man. Dragon's milk.
Fascinating. Just an enlightening tale for our listeners. I appreciate that. We have a ridiculous amount of news. I think this is probably going to be the most amount of news we're ever going to cover in one episode. I mean, once and for all. I don't see another episode where we're going to have this much news to cover, and I don't think we've ever covered this much news in a previous episode. So, in usual watch, review, repeat fashion, I'm going to say that we're going to go through this very quickly, but we're going to inevitably get bogged down in about 2 or 3 pieces of news. So, I apologize in advance. This is
what it may.
This is my usual plug for, hey, we've got timestamps and stuff, so if you really want to get into our discussion on Annihilation, by all means. But there's a lot of news, and it's a lot of stuff that I think is going to be relevant now, in the future, and anything along those lines. So,
yeah, man.
Without further ado, let's talk some Black Panther again.
Fuck yes, I've been waiting to talk about Black Panther all week.
Well, I did want to do a little bit of an update regarding its ridiculous box office run. So I think when we recorded last week, I think we recorded on a Sunday, so we didn't have the actuals for the week. I made the bold prediction that the numbers were going to probably go slightly up from when we talked about it. And I think when we talked about it, we had somewhere in the 190 million range for the weekend. And, sure enough, it went up $202 million for its first weekend, which, I mean, good Lord. That's absolutely insane.
In the middle of February.
Yeah. And even more incredible than that, 45% drop from a holiday weekend, mind you, to its second weekend, total of $112 million second weekend, which is the second best domestic weekend ever after Star Wars The Force Awakens, which did $149 million. So, it's a decent way behind that, but that beats out Jurassic World, that beats out the first Avengers. I mean, this thing is fucking insane. And, a 45% hold, I mean, that is ridiculous, especially off an inflated Sunday, given that first weekend was a holiday weekend. So, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Who could have fucking predicted that? I mean, I'm so happy. I'm so happy about it because it's a phenomenal film that absolutely deserves every penny of that. But this thing is going to cross $1 billion worldwide without breaking a sweat.
Oh, man, holy shit!
And as a follow on again to what we talked about last week, I would also like to point out that $112 million mark is in fact almost $20 million more than what Justice League made in its first opening weekend. So, look, I'm just putting it out there, all right?
Right.
This is actually, I put this news here. It's not actually anything totally new, but it's something that I didn't realize was happening, and I feel like it's definitely worth mentioning, especially for any listeners that are like, okay, Black Panther was awesome. I want to know what Ryan Coogler is up to next. Well, I have your answer. He's reteaming with Michael B. Jordan and writer Ta-Nehisi Coates on a new film called Wrong Answer. So this is about the 2006 standardized test cheating scandal that happened in Atlanta public schools. There was a New Yorker article written in 2014 by Rachel Aviv that basically kind of runs through the whole story of it. I read part of it and I was just like, I don't really want to spoil this whole thing. I'll wait for the movie to come out. But like I said, this was actually announced last year in 2017, but for whatever reason, I guess I just didn't see anything about it. And, this something that someone reposted, I guess, that article, kind of in the post Black Panther craze. So I feel like it was worth mentioning. I mean, it sounds like a pretty interesting story.
Why would you not watch it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things of Michael B. Jordan was incredible in Black Panther. He's been great in pretty much everything. We don't like to talk about Fantastic. And Ryan Coogler, at this point, I will watch whatever that man does. And Ta-Nehisi Coates is a freaking incredible writer. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that one. I'm not sure exactly when we should expect that. Probably, if I were to guess, 2019, but we'll see. We'll see. Getting into more recent news, as in, within the past week, Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan has categorically ruled out directing the next James Bond film, Bond 25.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean,
I would have taken a Christopher Nolan fucking James Bond.
No, I 100%
awesome.
agree with that. I 100% agree that I would take that, but I'm not, like, heartbroken. I don't know. He even mentions, like, he every time, they start hiring a new director, his name always gets thrown out there. And I don't know how close he's ever actually gotten to doing one of these things. I mean, he said that he's spoken to the producers. He loves the character. He's excited to see what they do with it. Maybe one day it'll work out. So, I mean, I would certainly be open to the idea of a Christopher Nolan Bond film. I think that would definitely be pretty cool. But I think there's plenty of talented directors out there that can do Bond justice. And
that's true.
Give Daniel Craig probably his proper swan song. Hopefully, a return to form of the Casino Royale style, because it's kind of been. Let's just say it's been a bit of a drop in quality across the board. Although, Skyfall's good. I'll give Skyfall a pass. I'm not going to give Quantum and Spectre a pass though.
They were pretty.
They
were shot well.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
There were redeeming qualities. It's just overall, it's inconsistent. It's an inconsistent movie. Inconsistent movies, I should say. No,
I agree. I mean, I don't hate those movies. I think they're far from the worst Bond movies, certainly, if you want to just stick with Bond. But they just feel like missed opportunities. Like, Daniel Craig is such a fucking cool Bond. He's one of the coolest Bonds we've ever had. And, we've got the height of Casino Royale.
My favorite Bond's Pierce Brosnan, personally.
Buy me a pint.
Who's your least favorite Bond? My least favorite Bond is Moore, by far. I don't like Moore at all.
I agree with that, and I think that's just because I have a tendency towards the cooler, the suaver Bonds, and I feel like Roger Moore is just camp overload for me. I think if you grew up in that era, Like you probably that's probably the kind of Bond film that you enjoy. But
is it really though? Like I think if my choices were more or like Connery, I think I'd probably gravitate more towards Connery than I would Moore.
Well, I think that most people would, but I just think Roger Moore those Bond films I think are very specifically a product of that era. I 100% think. I don't think you can make that movie now and get away with something like that. I mean, yeah, the Kingsmans are very over the top, but it's still a very different realm than a Roger Moore Bond
I guess
movie
you're
is
right.
for me.
It's true.
But I don't know, different strokes for different folks, I mean.
It's yeah, of course.
So I don't know. But on the James Bond front, we do potentially have a director lined up, Danny Boyle.
Okay, well, listen, you got... All right, that's a wash. I'll take Boyle and whatever. Nolan can trade out with Boyle. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's plenty of talent out there. It's just a matter of finding the right guy to work on the job. So this is coming from Variety. Basically, they're saying that MGM's very high on Danny Boyle, and at this point, Boyle has an idea for a very specific 007 movie, and he's working on kind of a version of that with his writing partner John Hodge, who he worked with on Trainspotting, and I think T2
right.
Trainspotting as well. So. It sounds pretty cool. I mean, Danny Boyle.
That would be an interesting flair to Bond for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm a big fan of Danny Boyle. I think that would be a pretty good get. And I think that would be. I don't know. That to me that would inspire confidence in the next movie. Honestly. I think it's due for a little bit of a shakeup. I think we've kind of gotten. I'm personally Sam Mendes out of the Bond movies at this point. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure we'll talk about it. Probably again if I were to make a bold proclamation. Star Wars: The Last Jedi has gotten a Blu-ray and digital home release date. So
a 4K UHD release date.
Yes, that too. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down for it.
So digital HD March 13th, Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD on March 27th.
All right, next month.
It's going to come with a feature-length documentary and.
What?
14, count them, 14 deleted scenes.
Oh, dude.
It's a lot.
Oh, man.
So I'm pretty stoked about that. I've got the Blu-ray, I have the 4K version pre-ordered from Best Buy right now. They got the fancy Steelbook edition.
Oh, shit. I need to do that right now, man. Right now.
But all right, what? We can't pause it right now.
All right, I'll do it right after the show.
I'll remind you, probably. Maybe. Who's to say? All right. Jessica Chastain is in talks to star as the adult Beverly in the It sequel, It Chapter 2.
It Chapter 2. Very nice. I'll take that shit. That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good casting there. She's actually previously worked with the director Andy Muschietti. They worked together on Mama a few years back. I never saw it, but certainly having a bit of cast director familiarity helps with that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it was a cool movie. I'm excited about this sequel.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely down for it.
Mm-hmm. Pinocchio is getting a live action adaptation. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Fucking, what are they going to do with that?
Well, they've got a director already lined up. Director of Paddington and Paddington 2, two movies that are complete blind spots for me.
But they own that they own the Rotten Tomatoes apparently.
I mean, apparently they're fucking fantastic. I remember seeing the first trailer for the first Paddington, and I was just like, oh my god, why are they doing this? And then I remember when the reviews came out, I'm like, what?
What have I missed out on?
But then I forgot about it. I forgot about it until Paddington 2 came out, and like it was at like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for like 150 reviews or some shit like that, and then someone finally threw in a rotten in there, so it's like 99% right now. Oh, the horror! But I mean, again, total blind spots for me. Like I need to sit down and watch those damn things. Like I got to know what it's all about, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of them things.
Either way, Paul King, I don't think I actually said his name. Paul King is the director of both Paddington and Paddington 2, and he's going to do a live-action Pinocchio for Disney. So, they've been hot on the live-action, adaptation train. What do we get? We got Jungle Book from Johnny V, John Favs.
Johnny V.
Johnny V, baby. He's doing Lion King right now.
I feel like you could make a really compelling Pinocchio, though. Like, I feel like a Pinocchio live action would be really, really cool.
Yeah, it could be pretty cool. But, let's say, just to finish my train of thought there, Guy Ritchie's doing Aladdin. And this is
no way. Is he really?
We've talked about this already.
Did we talk about that?
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about that.
We've 100% talked about it on a previous episode. I could not cite which one because we've...
Was I equally blown away when you said that?
No, I think you seemed pretty cognizant of it being, being a thing. Let me see if I can blow your mind with something else.
Okay.
There's a live-action Dumbo starring Colin Farrell that has recently wrapped production. Do you know who's directing that?
Who's directing that?
Tim Burton.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not as exciting, I know. It's just very deflating. You're like, that guy hasn't made a decent movie in a decade.
And now he's directing Dumbo. Oh, no. I don't know. I can't say that.
It's going to be a very dark version of Dumbo.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. You know what else? Shit. You know what else we're going to see on June 11th, 2021?
What's that?
Jurassic World 3.
Oh, yay.
Apparently, Universal's feeling pretty big in their britches. They said, we're just going to announce a big old release date for a third movie before the second one even comes out. I guess technically it's a fifth one if you want to put it in the scheme of things. But
Jurassic Park. I mean, I'll go see it.
But, I'm legitimately curious to see how Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom does, financially speaking. I'm expecting mediocre at best, honestly, in terms of quality. But I'm really just curious to see if it can replicate those numbers from the first one. I don't know. I mean, I'm not excited for it.
I'm honestly anticipating this to turn into like a Transformer franchise.
That seems like a fair. That would suck because I think the Jurassic Park franchise is really cool. I don't know. I mean, then again, I guess the Transformers franchise could be pretty cool if you didn't Michael Bay it every fucking time.
Right,
but
exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Colin Trevorrow is the new Michael Bay. Is that what you're saying?
That might be the case. I don't know.
It's probably a good thing he got the boot from Star Wars then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. When Jurassic World comes out in a few months, I suppose. God, there's a lot here. Did you see the trailer for Jared Leto?
Yes, I did. I was blown away.
Netflix's The Outsider. You dig this, huh?
Yeah, I thought that looked really fucking cool. I like Jared Leto a whole lot when he's not playing the Joker, and I don't know. I thought that looked really cool. I'm definitely going to watch that day one. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's supposed to be out in March, right? Sometime in March?
March 9th.
I kind of got like a more modern, it's not really modern. I think it's set, post World War II or something?
Yeah.
But I kind of got like a post World War II Last Samurai kind of feel for it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I don't think Leto is a cruise missile by any stretch of the imagination.
No, he's not. He's definitely much more subtle and much more creepy. But
I love me the shit out of some Last Samurai. Well,
yeah.
Both, but I will legitimately to this day hold the view that The Last Samurai is a legit fucking movie.
No, The Last Samurai is an incredible. I thought it was an incredible movie. That's not a general thing.
I think people just give it shit because they haven't seen it. And, it's The Last Samurai starring a fucking white dude, and it's just like.
That's not the whole point of the fucking movie. You gotta watch the movie.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's not the point, but I'm saying that people that look at that, see a poster, the title says Last Samurai, and it's fucking, Tom Cruise decked out in some samurai shit, and you're like, this is ridiculous. Which is fair as a first reaction. I think that's entirely fair, but I think if you've seen the movie, then that's not correct.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. So I think this one looks pretty good. I'm pretty excited about it. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, I think it looks all right. I've seen a lot of pretty negative response online to this, kind of in the sense of what I was talking about, The Last Samurai, except they're actually kind of just seeing it's like, okay, why is Jared Leto in the Yakuza? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit different because Tom Cruise is not actually a samurai in The Last Samurai.
No, he's not.
He's a gaijin. And this one, it kind of seems like Leto's definitely a little bit more ingrained as an actual member of the Yakuza. So
we'll just have to see how he gets adapted into it. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I can definitely understand the optics of this being pretty poor. Also, I think for me personally, I'm not 100% on the Jared Leto train. I think he is a talented actor, but I see him and I just kind of groan. I think it's still the residual from Suicide Squad.
God
honestly.
damn it, you groan when you see? Did you groan in 2049?
Kind of.
Did you really?
Especially when you read online that that role was originally meant for David Bowie.
Oh fuck! Well, come on, dude.
So obviously circumstances did not allow for that to happen.
I didn't know that.
Rest in peace to David Bowie. But yeah, I mean that's about as opposite I feel on the on the wheel as you can get personally. But
I like Jared Leto. I think he's a cool dude.
I will watch this. Okay, I will watch this. I'll give it a fair shake. How's that?
That's fair, because you don't want to fall into those tropes of where you misunderstand. You don't want to misunderstand a movie before you watch it. So there might be very good reason for him being a part of the Yakuza. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You know what we won't see?
Joss Whedon directing Batgirl.
Yep, we won't see it. It's not happening. He's donezo. He's out, baby. He did 2 months on Justice League, and he's just like, no, this is not. I'm out of here, man. I'm fucking out of here. No, he says, quote unquote, Batgirl is such an exciting project, and Warner/DC are such collaborative and supportive partners that it took me months to realize I really didn't have a story. Does that statement make any sense? No, it does not.
In other words, Warner Brothers are not very good collaborators. Was that his real statement?
Yeah, that's a quote. I was like, wait, did I just misread that?
Joss Whedon's such a boss, dude. He's so cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, he likes to cheat on his wife. That's not that cool, but
that's not that cool. I mean, but come on, man. Dude carries himself like a boss. That's a big fuck you, I think. That's how I read that. How do you read that?
I honestly don't know what to think about it. I mean, I would fucking dig the shit out of a Batgirl movie, honestly.
Well, yeah, of course you would.
So I mean, it's Catch-22, isn't it? I was like, I hope this movie gets made. And I'm like, oh no, it's WB and DC. Maybe this movie shouldn't get made. Maybe in a few years' time, when they inevitably reset their universe and everyone involved at WB gets fired for being a bunch of fuck-ups, then maybe we can get Batgirl into the hands of someone that actually knows what they're doing. Or just give it to Patty Jenkins, because so far she's the only one that actually knows what she's doing. So
I'd probably give it to Patty Jenkins.
Just give everything to Patty Jenkins.
Just let her
do everything. I mean, seriously.
And I would like to see them transition away from the flying combats of like. Does that make sense? Did that statement make any sense?
Like the third act smoke monster floaty bullshit, or like lightning storms?
Yeah. So I'm talking like Superman fight. I'm talking Wonder Woman third act fight. I'm talking.
It's just very CG heavy, like floaty people kind of vibe.
Yeah, just over and over and over and over again. I don't need it every time, man. I don't need it at all, to be honest.
Plus, we need a big old light shining into the sky, big old beacon of light. Opening a portal or something. Who cares? It's just doing something. It's just there.
That's it.
It's blue. The Spider-Man spinoff, Silver and Black, has unfortunately been delayed. I know. It's very sad news. I know you were really looking forward to Silver and Black, focusing on the characters of Silver Sable and the Black Cat. I know you were really looking forward to it coming out in February of 2019, but I'm sad to say it's not happening anymore.
They shut that shit down. All right.
Well, apparently they're still working on the script. The director, Gina Prince Bythewood, says that they're still working on the script. All about the script. Shut it down. We don't want this. Jesus. Like, hopefully Venom is their lesson. Like, oh no, we shouldn't have just rushed a bunch of shitty movies into production.
Man. You know, during this day and age, I would think that you would want to, like with the internet and shit, you'd want to put out a trailer and see what the response is online. If you get totally 100% shit on, okay, we're not going to make this movie. You know, treat it like a pilot. You know, because they keep putting out shit and people destroy it online and they continue through, they follow through, and then people continue to shit on it, and then I don't do they ever lose money though? Is that the thing?
Yeah, they definitely lose money on things.
They lose money on things. Okay. I'd like to start following up on which ones are which ones are losing money? Because I feel like we don't talk about that often.
Well, I have a sneaking suspicion that this March is going to be pretty bad for the box office. We've got 3 potential stinkers lined up in as far as box office, possibly in terms of quality as well. We'll see on that front. But A Wrinkle in Time, Tomb Raider, and Pacific Rim Uprising are all definitely primed to
lose
lose
in box office, not necessarily
yes.
in terms of long term.
Yes,
profits.
Yeah, no. Probably a bit of both, honestly. They usually correlate.
Oh, shit.
Well, let's just say they spent a lot of money on all of those movies. Tomb Raider probably is the least expensive, if I had to guess, or at least I hope it's the least expensive. Otherwise, Jesus Christ, what are you guys doing? But
Wrinkle in Time's going to be fucking expensive, though.
Yeah, I think it's...
You think that one's going to lose pretty hard, huh?
I just don't see the buzz for it. Look, we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. But it is one of those, and I don't remember exactly what I said on our 2018 episode, but it is one of those where I'm just like, this could go either way very quickly, and I wouldn't be surprised either way about it. So, I mean, it comes out in a couple weeks, so we're going to talk about it soon. So, we'll put a pen in it for now and talk about Polar coming from Netflix instead.
What's that all about, man?
Well, it's got Mads Mikkelsen in it, so that's a good start.
Yeah, okay.
He's playing the world's top assassin, Duncan Visla, aka the Black Kaiser.
Fuck yeah, that's cool.
Who is
I don't know why that hit such a funny bone, but that hits a funny bone. That dude's badass.
Yes. He's settling into retirement when his former employer marks him as a liability to the firm. Against his will, he finds himself back in the game, going head to head with an army of younger, faster, ruthless killers who will stop at nothing to have him silenced.
Yeah, okay, I'm all over it.
It's very John Wick, kind of from the sounds of it.
Yeah.
But so John Wick plus Mads Mikkelsen equals my ass there day one. It's based on the dark horse action noir graphic novel Polar Came from the Cold by Victor Santos. And I'm not familiar with it at all, but yeah, I mean, Mads Mikkelsen's in, Vanessa Hudgens, Catherine Winnick are in.
Okay.
I'm cool with this. Coming out. It's got Netflix. It's going to be released on Netflix in 2019. So a little bit of time to stew for this, but sounds cool, I think.
Yeah, I'm all in.
All right, we got a teaser for Fahrenheit 451.
Did you watch that?
Yeah. So this is the feature-length film coming to HBO, direct to HBO, and this looks fucking cool. Michael B. Jordan, we already talked about him today. Michael Shannon, superbly talented actor. So that's a pretty ridiculous cast right there. Just those two. I think we got Sophie Patel in this one as well. I think I saw her in the trailer somewhere. This looks cool. I mean, it's obviously based on a fucking classic book by Ray Bradbury. But
did you read the book?
Back in the day, yeah.
It was a really good book.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really cool concept. I'm excited to see. It's been taken to cinema before, if I'm not mistaken. I think they've made a long time
it was
ago.
Like 60s, I want to say.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just it seems increasingly relevant to today, and I'm really excited to see those themes portrayed. Especially, I mean, with HBO, it's a really good network to carry something like this, I think. So,
no, I agree. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's interesting that it's a movie. I guess probably more to do with the length of the book. I guess it'd be kind of hard to stretch it out for like a miniseries or something like that. But I'm interested based on. I think the cast is great, obviously, but I was impressed with this trailer. I thought the actual quality of it looks pretty fucking.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Looks like HBO spent some money on it. Is kind of what I mean. But yeah, looks cool. Coming out in May, so not too far away. Did you see that picture of Shazam that I sent you?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, so this is interesting. This is filming in Ontario, Canada. And there's a guy in a Facebook group that I'm in that I guess just lives there and took this fucking picture of Zachary Levi as, Shazam in full costume. It's kind of an awkward angle from the side, so we only kind of see a side profile. We can see the boots, we can see, the costume of it, some gauntlets, and like his cape with the hood that he's wearing. But boy, this definitely looks very Jingle All the Way, doesn't it?
Yes! Oh my god, dude! I was about to say that! I was about to ask you what's that Arnold movie where he dresses up in the red shit?
I'm Turbo Man. It's turbo time.
I was about to ask you that shit. I'm glad I am not the only. Oh fuck, dude! I feel like you're the only other person that would. Oh man. Oh.
Let me talk to your mother. Get your mother, please.
That shit looks pulled straight out of the. If they were to turn that picture around and take a face shot out of him, I thought it would have been Arnold filming in the 90s. I was convinced.
You know, the other comparison that it brings to mind for me is he almost kind of looks like Gaston in some ways. Like it looks like the Disney park version of Gaston from a side profile. I think it's the hair. The hair doesn't look real. Like, look, I'm not going to say anything. I mean, it very well, it's a crappy picture from the side, but good Lord, like DC needs to get out and do damage control, like stat, because this is not a good first impression.
No, I think it's a pretty fucking awesome first impression. Oh man, it's going to be, I hope, maybe they just own the campiness of it all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that absolutely could be just what they're going for with this. I have also some people be like, well, maybe it's like Captain America's USO outfit where it's like super intentionally ridiculous, and then he gets the grim dark updated version one later. I was like, well, no, I don't know. But to be fair, if you're gonna pick one character to go, just crazy campy with,
it would be Shazam.
Shazam, I think, is a good pick for that. Yeah, I think so. So. We got a good laugh out of it, so if nothing else, it was good for that, wasn't it?
I'm glad. Oh, fuck, you beat me to the punch. I can't believe you did that.
All right, now we're going to go for a little tonal whiplash here. Kevin Smith. The writer, director, creator of the View Askew universe, Clerks, Clerks 2, Mallrats, Jane Silent Bob, all that good stuff. More recently known probably for doing a lot of crappier movies, Tusk, Yoga Hosers, and directing some TV for the CW, Flash, and Supergirl. Had a massive heart attack. He's okay. That's the good news. He had a couple shows, I believe, out in Glendale, Arizona, and after the first one, he started feeling ill, just laid down, and was having trouble breathing, and he basically said he didn't really know what was going on, but he's just like, I'm just not feeling good, I need a doctor at this point. So, doctor apparently told him that if he had not canceled his second show, he probably would have died from the heart attack. So, I'm a fan of Kevin Smith.
We both are.
Be upfront and say that I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith. I don't think his humor is for everyone. But having seen the man a couple times live and listening to him talk, I mean, he's
a really cool dude.
I love listening to Kevin Smith talk. I think he's just such an affable presence that he's such an easygoing guy, and it sucks to see something like this. I think he's in his late 40s. He's not really that old in the scheme of things, and obviously he's
not in the best.
He's not exactly
shape.
The healthiest.
Right.
Yeah, he's not the healthiest individual, certainly. But I think he's actually out of the hospital now as of recording this, back home. So. Yeah, I mean, I'd say we're glad he's doing well.
He's not dead, so that's excellent.
Yeah, exactly. That's the good news. Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, official teaser trailer.
Man, I haven't laughed so hard in a trailer in a long time. That trailer had me... I actually laughed. I laughed pretty hard at the end of that trailer.
The pancakes bit?
Yes. I thought that was pretty great. Now, to be fair... I laugh when I just hear Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm gonna wreck it!
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph's so cool. I really like Wreck-It Ralph a whole lot. So, I am eagerly waiting for a sequel.
Well, you shan't have to wait long. Thanksgiving 2018.
That's good news.
I too am looking forward to it. So
yeah, that's such a good movie, man. I'm gonna watch that shit again here soon. I'm pumped up for Wreck-It Ralph.
Mm-hmm. That's it for the movie news. At long last, let's get into some TV news. There's a little bit less here, a little bit. I don't want to get, I don't want to say that there's not that much there, but Sabrina, the Netflix adaptation of the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, has had a couple new additions to the cast. First of which is Lucy Davis, who's going to play Aunt Hilda, and then there's Miranda Otto, who's going to play Aunt Zelda. What do you think about that? What do you think about so Lucy Davis? She was most recently in Wonder Woman. She was Etta Candy. She was like the assistant for what's his face?
Yeah, all right.
One of the Chris's, whichever Chris was in that movie. And then Miranda Otto, she was Aowen in Two Towers and Return of the King, Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be cool. I'm down for that.
Yeah, they're playing the ants. That's cool. Yeah, I'm still, as I've said before on this very podcast, I'm down for this. We got a teaser for Legion Season 2 premiering on April 3rd of this year. I think there's actually a couple that have come out, but the one I watched was the one with Aubrey Plaza being amazing and like talking to you and be like, it's all in your head,
right?
It's not real. Everyone's made up. It's all bullshit,
I really like Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, when I don't know if we talked about Aubrey Plaza when we talked about the show. We might have. Honestly, we very well might have. But fucking hell is she good in this show.
She's really good. She just owns that role so hard. Like you can't replace Aubrey Plaza in that role. I really don't think you can.
No, I don't know. Well, she's still in it, so
that's good. Yeah, good deal. Yeah. And so is Jermaine. Jermaine's still in it, right?
Jermaine?
Yeah, as long as he's still in it. If we have Aubrey Plaza and Jermaine, sold.
I agree. That's all you need. No, I'm really looking forward to that. And
when do we get episode 1?
April 3rd.
April 3rd. I just wish Netflix owned all the shows.
I don't.
And then we don't have to wait, and they could just put them out.
Except Netflix doesn't know how to pace a fucking show.
Yeah, that's fair.
There are honestly benefits to network limitations purely from the standpoint of, hey, you need to have a consistent 45-minute episode, so you have to actually pay attention to pacing, to weekly watching, I'm a fan of both styles. Certainly for, the immediate gratification, there's certainly something to be said for the Netflix model of just dropping it all at once. But I don't know. I mean, something like Legion, I honestly enjoy as a slow burn as well. So just depends on really what it boils down to is quality. I mean, it's either well made or it's just not, or somewhere in between, I guess. But another one that we will get all at once is Marvel's Jessica Jones, season 2 dropping March 8th, right around the corner.
Ooh.
We got another trailer for it. Interestingly enough, this trailer that they put out, it's called Her Way. It's like 75% footage from season 1. I don't really know what the thinking behind that is. I don't know if they're trying to, not totally show their hand right now, but early reviews are up for this. Seems to be, I mean, the reviewers only review the first 5 episodes, which seems kind of silly to me. But that's just the way they do it with a lot of the Netflix shows. Really, I guess a lot of TV shows, they only show you the first handful, and that's what you have available to review. It's, to me, it's kind of like, especially in the terms of the way that the Netflix shows up, it's like watching the first 40 minutes of a movie and like, yeah, I could tell you if it's good or not.
Let me ask you a question. What do you have to do in order to get access to the first 5 shows? Be a major publication?
Yeah, probably an actual,
So you don't think maintaining a podcast on the internets would give us access to...
Look, I mean, we can email Netflix and
give us access
Disney
to your
and
shit.
Marvel TV or whoever, like, hey, we will almost certainly, and when I say almost certainly, we definitely will take money to promote your show.
Absolutely. So, we will suck your dick. Just let us let's watch your shit.
Figuratively speaking.
I will suck dick. Let me watch your shit early.
I'll suck your dick, man. I got these cheeseburgers, man.
Oh, shit. That's why news is so good. Look at the banter that happens in the news. This is why we get caught up. Fuck. What else do we got?
Another Marvel TV show is in the works. Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is coming as an animated television show.
On what network is this?
I don't know. It's in consideration. It looks like it's probably going to be on one of Disney's
like XD or some shit
networks. Yeah, probably XD if I had to guess. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I can tell you that it's about Lunella Lafayette, who is a young African-American girl, described as the smartest character in the existing Marvel Universe, who pairs up with Devil Dinosaur, who she shares a mental link with because she's inhuman.
Okay.
Could be fun.
We'll see what happens, I guess.
Some Amazon Studios news. They're buying some shit, man. And we already knew that they spent a fuck ton of money on that Lord of the Rings series.
Yeah, they went a little bonkers with that one, didn't they?
So basically, this all actually came out of one big article that Deadline put out. So they're doing an adaptation of Consider Phoebus, which is the first book in a big, massive, sprawling sci-fi series called The Culture, written by Ian Banks. And it's not the only thing they're doing. So, I mean, just to start with this, this has been a pretty big franchise for a while. It's something I've been passingly familiar with.
Yeah.
I actually have, I think I actually have all the novels on my Kindle, but I have read none of them. But it's described as a kinetic, action-packed adventure on a huge canvas where a highly advanced and progressive society ends up at war with the Idirans, a deeply religious, warlike race intent on dominating the entire galaxy. Story centers on Horza, a rogue agent tasked by the Idirans with the impossible mission of recovering a missing culture mind, an artificial intelligence many thousand times smarter than any human, something that could hold the key to wiping out the culture altogether. Look, that sounds like a lot of words that are very sci-fi.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, that's fucking cool. Like, sci-fi is my shit. So that sounds pretty cool. But like I said, this article also has just a little sliver of information that says Amazon is developing a slew of high-profile titles, including The Dark Tower, Wheel of Time, Ringworld, Lazarus, and Snow Crash. So of those, the Dark Tower is probably one that stands out quite a bit.
Right?
Oh boy, they're taking a chance there after that movie, aren't they? I have to imagine, because I think the idea for the longest time was that the movie and the TV series would tie in with each other. It'd be part of one big mythos. You probably don't do that, right? You just no, we're just going to do our own thing. We're going to start from square one again. Like that has to be the approach here now, right?
I would certainly hope so. Yeah.
I mean, unless they suckered Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey into multi-film or multi-film and TV show contracts, I gotta imagine their agents are telling them to run the other direction as fast as fucking possible. So that would be my understanding. I mean, but the Wheel of Time too. I mean, that's 14 books of crazy, ridiculous fantasy, and that's in addition to their fucking Lord of the Rings TV series that I talked about. So it's like, where's Amazon getting the money for this? I mean,
Amazon's got a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, but still, I mean, like they're going full, crazy balls to the wall like Netflix is with just spending, and it's just like, damn. I mean, look, I buy Amazon Prime every year, but geez, man, like that's got to be a pretty hefty price altogether. But
absolutely, no, they got a fuck ton of. They're building fucking rocket ships, dude. Like, I mean, Amazon's got a lot of money.
Guess you got a point. Yeah,
I got a lot of money.
I know something you're excited for.
What's that?
It's Lost in Space.
Holy shit, dude! Did you see the trailer?
Danger, Will Robinson.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. Ah, man, little boy, and
little Will Robinson.
Little Will Robinson and his dad, his mom. Oh, we little family.
Oh, you gotta get lost in space. Oh, wee, I'm lost in space.
Shit. I guess we'll see how that goes, because that trailer didn't do anything for me.
No, I mean, it was kind of a nothing trailer. It's just people standing around and walking towards the ship.
There was definitely a glam shot of the little boy. looking back at the camera with his backpack. Little Will Robinson's
widow Willie Wobby win.
His backpack.
Oh, I go with your backpack.
So that's coming out.
Yeah, on April 13th.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to watch it. I mean,
of course we're going to fucking watch it. Oh, man. When's that come out?
April 13th.
April 3rd. That'll be an episode of the podcast.
Only on Netflix. All episodes.
Is it a show? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how it is.
We will indeed. The Expanse Season 3 finally got some fucking information on it. 13 episodes beginning on April 11th, we now know, and we got a very, very brief 30-second teaser trailer for it. I'll say that this teaser trailer didn't get me super excited because it's
fucking
people standing around and you know Stephen Strait giving a Holden monologue, a classic Holden monologue. But I will say that I'm fucking stoked to know that this is coming back, in a month and a half or something like that. Say January, February has traditionally been the Expanse season, and so I'm kind of been missing my dose of the Expanse. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I bought the season 2 Blu-ray maybe a couple weeks ago, so I'm gonna give it a rewatch. I think before this one starts back up, because the sci-fi broadcast is just absolute garbage. Like the sound's horrible on it.
That's it. I watched all of season 2 in the app, and it was just I watched your Blu-ray in the first season.
Yeah, I mean it's such a crazy drop off in quality.
Terrible.
Not for the show itself. Let me clarify that. I think the second season was better than the first season. It's just the actual literal quality of the show that they have. I didn't watch it through the Sci-Fi app. I watched it just on the broadcast through cable, and it just sounds like absolute garbage, and it looks like crap. And it's crazy because the Blu-rays are excellent quality. Like that's the way. I mean, that's always the way you should really watch it if you can. Blu-ray, if at all possible, or 4K, I guess as well. But it's literally night and day, in terms of especially the audio differences.
The audio differences are terrible. Like, I mean, I've got 2 subwoofers in my living room. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And every time something that required any sort of low end noise, my speakers would just like fucking fart. They'd just bleh, 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 bleh. It's like, oh Christ, it's terrible. Like anytime they used the ship and there was any sort of real volume, it's like there was I don't know what it was, but it was it was so bad that I was concerned that my speakers would blow because the quality of the sound coming out of them was so bad. It was terrible. I mean, it's really disappointing because you want to hop on day one and start watching the show, but the quality. You watch this live or?
I usually DVR it.
You DVR it and the quality is just as bad, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a recording of the live airing. So.
And the live airing is shit too?
Yeah. No, I think it's probably exactly the same as what they released through app.
Oh man, it's because it was terrible.
It's rough.
Yeah. So, anyways, don't let that deter you from watching it because it's an awesome show. But
yeah, I'm looking forward to rewatching the Blu-ray of season 2, but I'm not looking forward to. I mean, maybe they fixed it this year. Who's to say? I have my doubts, but we'll see. We'll see. Marvel's The Punisher got a few new cast members. Josh Stewart, he was in The Dark Knight Rises as one of Bane's mercenaries. He's joining the cast as John Pilgrim, a man whose calm exterior belies a ruthless interior.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. What does it mean? What does it mean? Floriana Lima is playing Krista Dumont, smart, compassionate, and driven psychotherapist for military veterans. I actually recognize her as Maggie Sawyer from Supergirl, which she was like a regular on season 2, and then she got bumped to like a recurring on season 3. And well, let's just say she's upgrading, okay? And then lastly, Georgia Wiggum is going to be playing Amy Bendix, a street-smart grifter with a mysterious past.
Ooh.
It's a lot of descriptions that don't tell me about anything about this show. But we do know that a second season is coming. which is pretty cool. I imagine it's probably going to be filming pretty soon based on these cast announcements. Interestingly, this actual press release from Marvel itself mentions that Ben Barnes will be returning as Billy Russo, Amber Rose Riva will be returning as Dina Madani, and Jason R. Moore is going to be returning as Curtis Hoyle. Notably absent, Eben Moss Bachrach as David Lieberman, Micro. So,
oh no,
I don't know. I mean, to me that implies it's going to be a Micro this season, but might be too early to say. But I mean, he's not listed, so
yeah, you can't assume that he's going to be there.
Doesn't say anything about his wife that Frank was getting a little schmoozy with.
He said, "Fucking Frank, I'm leaving you."
I thought the first season of Punisher was fucking dope, so I am definitely pretty excited about a second season. Personally, I'm also excited for Yellowstone.
Dude, wait, hold on a second. Yellowstone was that's a movie, isn't it?
No, that's a TV show, dog.
Yellowstone's a TV show? No.
Yeah, dude. I think it's 10 episodes.
Oh my goodness. What network is this?
It's on Paramount Network. It's a pretty recently established network.
What the fuck is Paramount Network?
They put out Waco recently with old Timmy Tim Riggins, Taylor Kitsch in it, and I've heard decent things about that. But this looks cool, and we know why it looks cool.
Taylor Sheridan.
He's pretty heavily involved. Do you want to know how heavily involved he is in this? He's writing and directing every episode of this show.
Oh my goodness.
So Kevin Costner is playing the lead, Wes Bentley, Kelly Riley, couple other faces I feel like I recognize in there. Fucking Gil Birmingham, who we talked about on our the Best of 2017. I saw him in there. I actually saw the I don't know the actress's name off the top of my head, but it was the girl that played Natalie and Wind River as well. So we got some Taylor Sheridan crossovers.
Man,
which is pretty cool.
Tell you what, I don't know what it was, but that trailer, they released a trailer for this, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I don't know. I might be sensitive to those cellos or whatever, but something in that trailer gave me some goosebumps, man. And it looks good. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's about a ranching family in Montana that faces off against others encroaching on their land. Is the very short blurb I have for it. Debuting later this year at some point. I don't know if we have a date on it, actually. I just know it's 2018. But, I mean, Taylor Sheridan, say no more, right?
That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah, and the cast is really fucking good. So I think this looks great. I think it's going to be pretty cool. And I hope that I have Paramount Network already and I don't have to add it to my cable subscription because I already pay way too much. I think is that it? Is that all the news? Did I go through the whole list? I did? All right. Time to move on to our main feature then.
All right, man. Annihilation.
I was trying to think of something witty to say. I got nothing. I apologize. So I was just like, I got nothing. All right. Annihilation. Yes, let's talk about Annihilation, shall we? At long last. So for those of you who aren't aware, which there's probably a fair amount of you because this movie didn't do shit its opening weekend, which makes me sad. It's written for the screen and directed by Alex Garland, who made his directorial debut a few years ago with Ex Machina. It is based on the book Annihilation, written by Jeff Vandermeer, which is the first in the Southern Reach trilogy. And it's got Natalie Portman in as the lead, joining her Jennifer Jason Leigh, Jenna Rodriguez, Tessa Thompson, Tuva Novotny, and Oscar Isaac, your boyfriend Oscar Isaac.
That's it, man. That dude is fucking great. You have to start any sort of discussion about this movie with Alex Garland. It all begins with that dude.
Well, before we get there...
Oh, God damn it, dude. That was such a good fucking segue right there.
I know, but again, I don't think anyone knows what this movie is based on the box office response.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to give the bare bones plot description because I think this is a movie that you're best off kind of walking in, not really knowing what's going on. I think if you know what's going on, it's still going to throw you for a fucking loop. But so to put it in the simplest terms, it is about a biologist who signs up for a dangerous expedition into an area where the laws of nature don't apply.
It's pretty ambiguous.
It's pretty ambiguous. I like leaving it ambiguous, though, because I think this is a movie that rewards, not really knowing what to expect and really working against type and expectation. But I apologize for raining on your parade there. Let's talk about Alex Garland. I will let you talk about Alex Garland. I want you to talk about Alex Garland. Tell me about Alex Garland. You got some fun facts about Alex Garland?
Listen, Alex Garland is... I really like Alex Garland. He's pretty fucking cool dude. I actually watched an interview or something, or I read something. I can't remember where I read it or heard it or whatever. But they made the point that Alex Garland is a novelist turned director.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he's gone from a novelist to a screenwriter to a producer to a director. And dude is talented as shit, man. I mean, he's just really good. I can't speak about his books, but I think the first introduction into film was 28 Days Later, directed by Danny Boyle. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably my first introduction.
That's my first introduction to him, anyways. And then one of my favorite sci-fi movies ever put out, and I was unable to watch it because the fucking Blu-ray has some sort of weird bug to where you can't watch it. I don't know, it's a weird thing, but the picture-in-picture mode with the with like this chick from Manchester or something, she was talking about the kitchen and shit in the first scene. Either way, I digress. Sunshine, he wrote that as well, and that is incredible. I never saw Let Me Go, but apparently that's another really popular movie of his that he was a part of. But I do know he was a part of Dread, which was incredible. And then he came out with Ex Machina, man, and that was it was an incredible movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna tear up this fucking dance floor, dude.
Yeah, dude, Alex Garland's got it going on. He knows how to. He's a storyteller, and like I said, I think it all roots to his ability to tell a story through the pages of a book. And then he shares the vision well enough to where he can rip those images off the pages and put them on screen, which not a lot of people have that ability. But he's a very talented guy, especially when it comes to sci-fi. I think he's definitely, he's definitely a name to, because he hasn't done a whole lot. I think he's definitely a name to pay attention to anytime he puts something out.
Yeah, I'd agree. He's probably not the most prolific, but he's definitely got a pretty long stretch of work that is pretty spectacular from the beginning, and I think he's been pretty consistent with his quality output. But it's interesting because this movie Annihilation is only his second directorial experience,
right?
And I think that a movie like this, under the tutelage of Alex Garland, isn't possible without that foundation that he built as a novelist, as a screenwriter, building into this. I mean, this is just a really fucking amazing blend of really everything. I mean, in terms of visuals, obviously that's kind of, I think, where the directorial experience, certainly his work on Ex Machina, I think it's excellent, but I'd say this one feels like it definitely kicked it up a notch in terms of trying to be a little bit more visually spectacular, certainly a little bit more out there overall, which that's probably just more in line with kind of what the movie's about. But it almost has the pacing of a novel in some ways.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Well, all of his movies are broken up into chapters. He's got like a Quentin Tarantino kind of theme to his movies, which is really cool.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. I kind of actually forgot about that.
And he breaks it up in such a way. I mean, kind of like Tarantino does, but it's I don't know, man. It's so rewarding to watch a movie that's so well visualized. There's definite themes, and they're abstract, and they're hard to pinpoint. They're hard. I don't know. They're hard for me to pinpoint. I'm just not the most educated person, so I can feel what he's trying to do, but I can't without watching it a second or third time, it's hard for me to digest. You try to take some time after the movie to kind of process it, but it's I don't know. There's deep shit going on in his movies. Same thing with Ex Machina. You know what I mean? It's just he's just a really talented dude.
He's another Taylor Sheridan for me.
Absolutely,
I think
no, without question, definitely. That's a good parallel. He's one of those dudes that he's an and this is something else that I read or I heard or something, but he's an auteur, but he doesn't want to be recognized as an auteur for whatever reason. Like, you can tell his movies. You can tell he's like Taylor Sheridan, where you can tell his movies even when he's not directing them. Like, his writing presence is so ingrained into the films to where you can feel his presence and his involvement even when he doesn't have direct control of every other aspect. You know what I mean? Like Sunshine and 28 Days Later and all these other things. They're just, I don't know, dude. He's awesome. And that carries over to this movie. I'm really thankful that I don't know. There wasn't really a worry that he wasn't going to come through, but Alex Garland's attached to this. Fuck yeah, I'm in. You know what I mean? 100%. And well, I wasn't disappointed.
No, and it's interesting because it's hard to really. I'm trying to kind of dance around a lot of this movie because look, we're gonna have a lot to talk about in spoilers, I think. But for me, this is a movie that I just don't think a movie like this comes around that often. And that's why, to me, it's disappointing that something like this isn't getting a lot of traction box office-wise. Paramount's dumping it on Netflix internationally. It just feels disappointing to me that they basically it feels like they sent it out to die. It was released in maybe 2,000 theaters, which is about half of what a major wide release gets. I find it sad because this is such a fucking crazy interesting movie about a crazy interesting premise, starring a ridiculously talented cast that is 100% game for this movie, and a writer and director behind all of it that has this vision. It is based on a book, but when I was reading about kind of the behind the scenes of this movie, basically the book Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer I've heard is really awesome. My buddy James, who is one of the co-hosts over at Ink to Film, he was blown away by it.
Blown away by the book or the movie?
I think both, but specifically the book. I think when we were talking about it and in context of that conversation, he was talking about the book. But basically what Alex Garland did is, he read the book and absorbed it, but instead of making just like a literal straight adaptation, he wrote the screenplay from memory of what he remembered from his experience reading the book, which to me is fucking interesting because it's basically his spin on the ideas, the basic concept of that book. So, I guess if you're a purist, if you want a one-to-one adaptation, you're not going to get that with this. But I've never heard of anyone doing anything like that. Like, to me, that just seems like it's...
Well, just it shows that he had a deep understanding for the thematic elements of the book. And
I don't even think that's the case, because I think there's a lot of thematic elements that he just ingrained. He put his own spin on everything. And stuff we'll talk about in spoilers. There's a lot of general things in there. I think probably the biggest theme of the movie, just from reading around online, is something that's not even completely touched on in the book at all.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about it in spoilers. We're going to have a lot to talk about because I think you've read a little bit more.
I think a lot of it is literally just Alex Garland really just kind of taking a liking to this, idea of the book of Area X, and saying, this is fucking cool. I really like this. Let me do my version of this. I don't know. It's kind of, I guess, maybe doing a cover, your Tears for Fears to Gary Jules' Mad World cover, maybe, where it's just a totally different rendition of it. Same lyrics and everything, but, it imparts such a crazy different feel to the whole material that, I don't know. I don't know if that's the best comparison, but I've been listening to Tears for Fears lately, so it's the one that came to mind.
That's what, it's really interesting. If you want a really deep insight into this, you ought to pull up Ink to Film, because they probably have a substantial more, or just a much deeper analysis of that comparison.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with that. I'd say, assuming that they're on schedule, they usually are up on Thursdays, so they'll probably have their episode up before this one drops. So by the time you're listening to this, you can go look them up on iTunes or whatever podcast app you do. Ink to Film is the name of their podcast. They do great work, and I for one am very excited to hear their thoughts. Really, I'm excited to hear their thoughts on the movie, honestly, but I'm excited to hear it in the context of
the book, because I mean, apparently
the relationship to the book, right. But that's their territory. That's something. I'm kind of talking out my ass a little bit, given that I haven't read the book. Although I will say that I liked this movie enough that I just went ahead and ordered the whole hardcover trilogy of the Southern Reach. Will I read it?
No.
Who's to say? I might have also ordered the entire Takeshi Kovacs trilogy. I cannot confirm or deny that information, but I'd like to think I'll read some books. That sounds like a good idea. I go through phases where I'm like, reading sounds cool, but we'll see what happens. If I do read things, rest assured I will let our listeners know. But I feel like I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here. Let's talk about this movie. Just again briefly and non-spoilers. I think a lot of it's just really just going to have to be moved to spoilers, because I don't really want to talk too much about really plot elements, because I think that, again, for me, I think the intrigue of this movie is exploring everything for yourself and really kind of trying to put the pieces together as much as you can, what pieces there are available to you. I mean, this movie takes you for a ride, I would say.
Absolutely.
And I enjoyed it from that standpoint. But I think I said it before. I mean, something like this, you don't see movies like this all the time.
No, you don't.
I mean, this is pretty hardcore science fiction when it comes down to it. And so I think that's going to be polarizing in some ways, maybe alienating in others. But for me, speaking purely for me, probably for you, like, this was extremely my shit.
Oh, yeah.
This is something that's completely in my wheelhouse. And that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like it right away. It just means I'm predisposed to liking it. Altered Carbon was very much one of those things where I'm like, I want to like this. And I was just like, look, it's fine. I enjoyed it, but it could have been better. This one for me is just like, fucking hell, this just floored me. Really, because it really entered some unexpected territory for me. I just didn't know where this movie was going to take me, and I liked that. I liked that it just completely... I don't even know that it went against my expectations, because I just didn't know what to expect. I mean, I just can't remember the last movie that I was just hooked at every turn. Just what's going to happen? Oh, holy shit! Okay, what? That's the whole movie for me.
I really enjoy it. For me, this movie was almost like a Darren Aronofsky movie, rooted in science fiction. Like the thematic elements and the low key plot movements, and like you can tell that there's. I like a movie that isn't overt with what it's trying to push, like, on a subliminal level. If that's I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but there's just things that it's trying to convey, like just the story of the movie, and it's wrapped up in this package that's science fiction. And it's so good. And I fully expect that people watch this movie and say, "What the fuck happened? I don't understand it. This movie's shit." And I can see that. I imagine a lot of people watch this movie. I haven't looked at the reviews, but I imagine that it's probably very polarized, in the sense that some people watch it and say, "Okay, this movie's well made, and I got everything that it was trying to convey, and it did it in a very artistic, creative way." And there's other people that say, "Yeah, it didn't land with me at all. I don't understand this movie." So,
well, in regard to reaction, it's probably not dissimilar to what we got with Mother,
exactly.
Which of course is a Darren Aronofsky film from last year, where if you got what was happening and you were ready for it and you were in for that ride, it was thrilling. And if you weren't quite up for the task. I mean, look, it's okay to dislike films. It's okay to, I just think that certainly Aronofsky in general, Mother in particular, is just one of those things where I think that a lot of it was just lost on most audiences.
I think Aronofsky in general is just very polarized. I think that most of his movies are hit or miss, depending on if it lands with you or not.
Yeah.
Just because his movies are so abstract, and this is a very abstract movie. Now you can take it at face value and just take it for what it is, and it's a cool sci-fi flick, but that's where Alex Garland really shines, because he takes a lot of abstract elements and he puts it on the screen in such a way to where you can, I mean, I guess you could walk away with, it's just a really cool sci-fi movie. You know what I mean? At the same time, though, there's I don't know, there's a lot of shit going on, and I think that's really portrayed by the cast. The cast did an excellent job of just everybody's so. I feel like everybody's so low key.
They feel real. They feel like characters, and even it's interesting because I mean we get just the briefest slice, I think, for a lot of the characters, with the exception of probably Natalie Portman's Lena and Oscar Isaac. Those are probably the two most heavily focused on characters, I would say. And certainly the cast, I think, that probably gets the most to chew on in terms of kind of what their performance demands of them. But I thought that the cast across the board was stellar. And I particularly, I think Natalie Portman was incredible in this.
Absolutely.
We know Natalie Portman is capable of being amazing. Black Swan, another Aronofsky film.
V for Vendetta.
Yeah, absolutely. But we also know that Natalie Portman is also very capable of phoning that shit in. We recently watched Thor: The Dark World together. She was phoning that shit in as much as you can phone shit in. She really, really killed it here, I thought. There's a particular moment, and I don't want to talk about it right now, but if I don't remember to talk on the spoiler section, if you could remind me, if you would be so kind, if you could remember.
Right. I don't remember anything.
Maybe I should make a note for myself. I don't want to. But I do hope we talk about it, because it's something for me that that was just instantly key to me, and I'm like, oh, she's in the fucking zone for this. Like, I thought maybe she was done with sci-fi after Thor. Nah, she's clearly she found something to really kind of push for in this movie, and I think that she was a standout of a great cast to begin with. So I think I kind of stole your thunder there when you're talking about the cast. So I'll let you kind of.
No, it's okay. Just there's a lot of there's with each actress. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Poe Dameron's pretty cool too, but not Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaac. Shit, I'm sorry. He's pretty cool too, but there's just the ensemble of these actresses venturing into this environment is really, I mean, and each one of them has such. They have their own reason to doing what they're doing, but it's not overtly presented. You know what I mean? It's presented in such a way to where it's, like you said, it's real. You know what I mean? People don't put their shit out on a platter for everybody to hear. You know?
Yeah, and I feel like the one thing, well, it's not the one thing, but something that I really think that Alex Garland does well, I think it's probably consistent through all his movies, is he doesn't treat the audience like an idiot.
Right.
Most movies realize they have to spell shit out for people to get it, and I think that a consistent trait of all Alex Garland movies is, hey, you're either going to get it or you're not. If you don't get it, that's fine. You can dislike it. I don't care.
But it's not even that. Like I think Aronofsky puts his nose up in the air. I think Aronofsky's one of those people. But like with Alex Garland, I think it's wrapped in such a package. It's presented in such a package to where if you don't necessarily comprehend what he's trying to convey, you can at least pull away something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that, if we had to put it on a spectrum, I think that Alex Garland is certainly a more approachable, stylist than Aronofsky is. I think Aronofsky is definitely just always going to be polarizing with everything that he does. I think Alex Garland can certainly kind of work. I mean, I think 28 Days Later is a crowd pleaser. Sunshine's a bit more polarizing. Dread, I think, is a pretty big crowd pleaser. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward script and movie. It's a fucking good one, but it's pretty straightforward. And I mean, I think Ex Machina's, I feel like that's maybe a little bit more approachable than this one is. Not by a whole lot, I wouldn't say.
But see, that's where he's really stepping into his own, because he has control of absolutely every aspect, right? Like you can have a movie about some sort of android or AI or whatever, and have deeper elements that are there to pull from for people that want to dwell on those things. But at the same time, you can take what you can. It's as deep as you want to go. You know what I'm saying? In which, when you watch a movie that has such depth, it's a really rewarding experience. Like, I mean, you can watch it every time and pull away something deeper. And that's where I feel like I've kind of shot myself in the foot. I've had plenty of time to rewatch it in the theaters, and I haven't gone to go watch it again in the theaters. And I regret that, because I think that there's more to this movie than what I grasp. And I think that every time I watch this movie and return to it, I think that I'll probably grab something a little bit more. And I think that's a tell sign of a really well made, well written movie. So I don't know. I think all the way around it's a pretty stellar film.
I completely agree. So, well, you want to do a recommendation here then?
We could do it. Yeah, definitely.
Right. I mean, it's tough. It is tough, because I fully realize that this is a movie not made for everyone. And I fully expect that there's going to be a lot of people that walk in. I don't know if they're not, I don't know if they just don't walk, if they don't have expectations when they walk in, or they're expecting something different. And I think it's going to be not what you expect. And that will either please you, or that will either completely throw you for a loop, and you're not gonna like it. I think that, I don't know if a non-sci-fi person would like this. I think it's a little too far into science fiction elements and concepts, that I think that it goes too weird of places for I think anyone that isn't kind of predisposed to the genre to really kind of get a whole lot out of. I could be wrong. I mean, that's just my general inclination. So I have a hard time recommending it in the sense that if it's not your usual thing, I don't know that you're going to like it. But I am going to say you should see it in theaters, because we don't get movies like this. I mean, this is a fucking sci-fi film with a 90% female cast. A fucking excellent cast, and it's a work of art, I think, and I think that a movie like this needs all the support it can get, because we should want more movies like. I want more movies like this. I don't know that I necessarily want an Annihilation sequel. I understand that there's sequels, that to the first book, but that's not what I'm saying. I think that. No, I want Alex Garland to keep fucking doing his thing, and I want people that can look up to this movie and think, holy shit, I mean, they gave this guy $40 million to make this fucking movie. Like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want more movies like this. So I think that purely in terms of quality, it's absolutely warranting a theater visit. But I think even just kind of beyond that, in terms of, this is the kind of movie that demands a theater experience, and I think that's also true just from a technical standpoint too. The visuals alone, I think, definitely warrants a proper, really viewing experience. I wish this had an IMAX release. I completely understand why it doesn't, but I think it's a movie that would have been fucking just absolutely jaw-dropping to witness in IMAX. Just a lot of the sequences. For sure. The sound alone. The score
and the sound.
Yeah, the score. Ben Salisbury and Jeff Barrow. Huge shout out to them for the score. It's insanely good. Especially the last act of the movie, that whole third act of the movie, the score for there is just fucking mind-bending. So I say see in theaters. That's my take. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you tell somebody to watch it in theaters, right? If you feel like a dick if they go and watch it in theaters and they don't like it, you know what I mean?
I've warned them. I've told them they might not like it. I feel like I've stated my reasons for why, even if it's not your shit, you should support something like this. So that's my rationale.
I would say watch it in theaters, just because it's worth watching in theaters, man. If you're listening to a podcast about movies, go watch it in theaters. That's how I feel about it. It's even if you don't appreciate sci-fi is not your thing, but you like movies, there's enough on a dramatic level in characterization and everything else for you to walk away with something. There's enough horror elements, I think, for you to walk away with something. There's a lot to the film. I mean, it's more than just sci-fi. Like, for example, if you watch 2049, or Blade Runner 2049, I should say, is that shit's a wholehearted this is a wholehearted sci-fi movie too, but there's a lot to process in this movie, and if you appreciate film, if you're listening to a podcast strictly about film, I think there's a lot you can walk away from. And it's a very, very well crafted movie, and for that I would say go watch it. It's worth your $10. It's worth your movie pass time, or whatever. And there's no IMAX release of this, right?
No.
Okay, well that's unfortunate, but yeah, go watch it. It's really good. Go watch it in theaters as quickly as you can.
Yeah, well, you're going to need to, because it's probably going to be out of theaters in 2 weeks.
That just sucks.
I know. It's deflating. All right, spoilers? I'm going to get some spoilers in here.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do full spoilers for Annihilation. Let me begin by also reiterating something you've already spoken on. Both of us have seen it once.
That's it.
So when we're talking about themes and, kind of anything like that, I mean, it is absolutely a movie, as you mentioned, that I think each time you watch it, you're going to pull something new out of it. So I think we can speak, pretty well on the actual literal sequences of it, but in terms of really kind of pulling out the deeper meanings of it, we've got ideas. We've got things that we can probably talk about, but we might miss the mark. We might be kind of having a surface level reading of it. I don't know. So this is just a disclaimer, kind of saying that this is what we came away with after watching it one time. I did want to, before I forget, mention what I was talking about when I was talking about Natalie Portman's acting.
Do it.
It's the part where I don't remember his character. Oh, Kane, that's his name. Oscar Isaac. When he comes back, he climbs the stairs, and she's painting the room. She turns around and she sees him, and it's kind of a surreal moment because I'm just like, I almost didn't literally interpret as him being actually there initially.
Well, so did she.
Well, I mean, her face sold that she fucking saw him.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I when I initially kind of watched it, I was just like, I don't know. I didn't know if that was just leading up to kind of a dream sequence type thing. But when I saw her face, I was just like, oh no, this is real. I mean, literally, she went from fucking 0 to 11 of holy shit. Where was this in Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah, dude, she's incredible. Is she? If we're on the topic of Natalie Portman in the spoiler section, she goes through so many different stages through this movie. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's a powerful performance because, I mean, she has to suffer through loss. She suffers through realizing that the person's come back, but they're not the same. So she suffers through disappointment, but then she suffers through regret. And there's so much personal shit that she experiences, and she does it so well. Natalie Portman kills it, dude. And she's not the only one that kills it. Every character that goes in through the Shimmer is they have their own shit going on, and even though they don't have as much screen time and their characters aren't as fleshed out, you leave understanding them. You know what I mean? And it's really well done.
I agree. Yeah, no, I was just really taken aback, particularly by Natalie Portman, but I thought across the board it was just really, really impressive performances. And even someone like Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's playing Ventress, and she's kind of a standoffish character in some ways, where she's not exactly an emotive personality, but really none of them are kind of it's kind of what we talked about. None of them are the in your face emotionality type characters. I mean, we probably I'd say we get the most from Lena, just because we kind of see her through the different phases that you're talking about. We see her through basically every stage of the journey that she goes through, whereas a lot of the other characters, they're at the point in their life where they're willing to march into the Shimmer, knowing that it's probably a one-way trip. And for all of them, I guess it does end up being a one-way trip, right? But man, this fucking movie is so good. I'm excited to talk about spoilers. Generally speaking, the whole idea of the Shimmer, I think, is just a fucking super cool concept for this movie to play with.
Right. Yeah. So the fun, I don't know, this is a fun fact. This ain't necessarily a fun fact, but there was I can't remember what chapter of the movie it was in, but there's a chapter of the movie where they're marching through a swamp, and this was before it was announced that I actually feel proud of myself. So, when I watch movies like this that have deeper things, I enjoy picking up on things that aren't necessarily called out, and then they're called out, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, I was right. That's so cool. And so there's a scene where they're marching through the swamp, and this is before the physicist calls out that this thing is like refracting it's refracting everything. It's
right.
Distorting reality, essentially. And it's taking what's coming in and it's distorting it in such a way, everything down to, the genetic material and shit.
Yeah, DNA, yeah.
Right. So, you learn at an early age that when light passes through a prism, it comes out as a rainbow, right? And when there was a scene where they're marching through a swamp, and you catch the Shimmer, and it's coming back. It's coming back as the Shimmer, but I mean, you catch all the lights of the rainbow. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, oh, it's like they're walking through a prism, and that's the way I caught it. I associate the Shimmer to a prism, and everything that walks into the prism is being spread out in such a way to where it's manipulating everything, and I caught it through the water. There was a reflection of the Shimmer through the water, and it looked like a rainbow. And I don't know, I picked up on it, and then the physicist calls out, like, listen, this is what's happening, and she used some technical physicist shit, and I didn't understand it, but I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm right, and it's really cool because it distorts. If we're on the topic of the Shimmer, the way that Alex Garland chose to portray the distortions of reality, it's really interesting. Like, deer have flowers growing off their antlers and stuff, and like, I don't know if you noticed Natalie Portman, but she developed like an infinity tattoo. She had that tattoo on her forearm. She never had a tattoo on her forearm, and it makes you wonder where it came from. But did it come from what did it come from?
I know where it came from.
What did it come from?
It came from the guy that they cut open. That's where you first see it. It's in the footage of him.
Did it really?
Yeah, it's on his arm.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! See, and so much of that shit is just so cool because that's something that I could have picked up on a second viewing. But and everything's so consistent. Like, a lot of times in sci-fi films, I feel like they have an idea and they run with it, but it isn't necessarily consistent to the world building that they've built up, right? But everything's so consistent in this movie to where everything within that prism everything within that the Shimmer is is consistent. And maybe because it's so abstract, it's okay that it's crazy as hell. It doesn't make a difference. But I don't know, man. It's just really cool stuff. It's really cool stuff. Like this, I don't know. I can ramble on about a lot of shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's quite all right. We've been rambling for quite a while, so no worries. I think if anyone is still with us, they're okay with the rambling. They're used to it by this point.
Give me some insight. Give me some direction. What else do you want to talk about other than the Shimmer?
I mean, I think going surface level with this in terms of literally just sequences that I wanted to talk about and non-spoilers, but kind of had to dance around it. Well, I actually meant to mention this when we were talking about non-spoilers, so it doesn't really help at this point, but this movie does such a fucking crazy good job of mixing the beautiful ideas that like certain things that happen within the Shimmer are like really beautiful. They talked about the deer that has the antlers with the flowers growing. I have there's like the duplication, and they're mimicking each other's movements. Like it's a really fucking almost peaceful kind of vibe to that.
Right.
And then boom, you juxtapose that with the fucking alligator or fucking scream bear or any other kind of just crazy ass shit that's happening within the Shimmer, where the distortion of the DNA, the refraction of it is just fucked. It is absolutely fucked, and the sequences where that happens is just I gotta say, I mean, I think the one thing for me, like horror movies, like jump scares and shit, that doesn't do it for me. It's whatever. Body horror is one thing for me. Then I'm like, oh, that is fucking gnarly. Like that is something that, like, there was a lot of moments in this movie where I just felt deeply unsettled by looking at things. So I'm just like,
there was one moment where
what's
Oscar Isaac puts his hand inside that dude's stomach and like holds the worm that's slithering around inside his stomach and looks back at the camera, and it's like, holy fuck, dude, I don't know about that. And then that dude is like spread out all over the wall.
Yeah, no, it was actually I was okay with the cutting them open, and
I was okay with that too, but
like it was unsettling. But it was when they found his the remains.
Oscar
of his body,
Isaac looks back at the camera. I don't know, dude. When he looks back at the camera and he's like, oh, it just, I don't know, just kind of wigged me out a little bit. It was a little the horror aspects of the movie, I think, are the best. I think the best way to put them is unsettling. It's unsettling horror. It's not like, I don't know. It's not anything else. It's just, I don't know how to describe it other than
I think unsettling is absolutely the word I would use to describe pretty much every horror sequence in this movie. I think Scream Bear for me is kind of the standout of holy shit. We get kind of the first moment, I guess, in like the forest right outside the tower, which that whole sequence when Gina Rodriguez's character, Anya, I want to say, she has them all tied up, and then they hear the screaming from Cass, from Shepard, and she's like, you said she was dead, what's going on here? And she fucking goes out, investigates. Boom, she gets fucking mauled by that fucking scream bear,
dude.
which has the fucking scream of literally their dead friend and science person that they came along with this expedition with them. Like that was just fucking hell. Like that was harrowing as shit.
Now, see that concept, as a concept, the Scream Bear seems to have, like, I think if I were to watch it a second or third time, I think I would get a more thematic element from that Scream Bear, right? Because there's actually a call out to where, like, isn't it terrible that our last experiences are captured by that bear? And he vocalizes our last experiences. Like that seems like a very deep thing for a sci-fi thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, pretty much was the immediate aftermath. Tessa Thompson's character Josie's. That might be kind of what you're talking about. But she's just like, that's I don't want to die like that. No, sir. That's not how I want to go out. She literally just walks off as the fucking. The flowers are starting to kind of sprout from the cuts.
Her arms.
And her arms. And I'm just like, holy shit, Lena's just like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Follows her, then boom, you see this whole fucking reveal of all these, the plant-shaped humanoids, and it's just like, fucking hell. I mean, literally every sequence of this movie of anything along those lines is just like, fucking hell. Like, I just all of it for me, just really it grabbed me. Like, and like it was enthralling because I just did not know what to expect. And I think that's kind of the fun in some ways of the idea behind the Shimmer of refracting the DNA. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
In some ways. I think they did it in clever ways. I'm not, it's just, all of it is just so unsettling, like, it's crazy. And then, you build up to that third act of what the fuck is happening. Yeah,
it makes for a really awesome sci-fi movie, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of thematic elements that you can walk away from. I don't, and I might be wrong, but it feels like it's a very deep movie.
Well, yeah, I think it's something that I think it's pretty on the nose about talking about, the idea of self-destruction. I think that the whole idea behind all of the, the women that walk in there, each of them has their own kind of rationale for why they're embarking on what is effectively a suicide mission. I mean, obviously they're not walking in there to die, but there is, they all know that
they're probably not coming back.
Well, yeah, they know, with the exception of Kane, who they can't explain how he got out. They know that it's probably going to be a one-way trip. They know each one kind of has their own pretty heavy emotional baggage that kind of leads them on that path.
And it's interesting to see. That's such an interesting thought, because Kane came back because he self-destructed.
Yeah, literally.
And she came back. I don't necessarily want to say she self-destructed, but did she? You know what I mean?
I think she. I would say she kind of blew up her old self in some ways. I mean, not literally in the way that Kane did. Kane pretty clearly had lost his shit by the end. By the time he reached the lighthouse, he was pretty well and truly fucked, and said, it literally, immolated himself with the phosphorus grenade. And I think Lena, it's interesting because I think each character really has something that they're fighting for. But I think that most prominently, obviously, I think I talked about it in the non-spoilers, is that Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac's Lena and Kane, they obviously get the most heavy lifting done for their characters. And I think that that's absolutely true of kind of what happens with the ending. So, Lena sees the found footage of Kane, literally, saying, hey, go find Lena, or whatever, he says basically to whoever's behind the camera, which we don't know initially, and then it's like, okay, that is a doppelganger, I think Kane is just completely lost at that point, that, he becomes literally, physically reborn, at that point. But Lena is a little bit different. Now, I mean, the way I read it, and you maybe you saw it differently, but I've actually seen some people online speculate it. But I think that the Lena that comes out of the Shimmer is the very same Lena that came in. Not, I mean, physically speaking. We're not talking mentally speaking or anything like that. Or
it's the same person, right?
It's the same physical being. Physical form that I've certainly we see that whole amazing, beautiful sequence of her, kind of dealing with, first of all, the amorphous Blau, and then it turns into the humanoid creature, and the mimicking in the movements, which again, I feel like we've kind of glossed around that whole third act. I mean, that third act was some of the most what the fuck shit I've seen in a long time, personally.
Yeah, but it's like it's I don't know, it's so poetic in a way.
It's fucking cool. It is really cool, but it is one of those things, and this is just how I reacted to it, is just in the moment, I didn't know how to feel about it. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, what the hell is happening? Like, that's kind of what I mean when I'm just saying, like, this movie just goes in just completely wild batshit places. Like, I went expecting, I knew the general concept of it, but I never expected it to go somewhere like that.
It's one of those things, man, where it goes in unexpected places, and it feels, I don't know, it's just such an abstract movie.
It is. It is. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess just kind of complete my thought of kind of what I was getting at is that, in the moment I didn't know how to react, just because I was, it's the first time you process it, and you're just, in the moment you're just taking in everything all at once. It's hard to really kind of sit on it, which is why, I think I watched it on a Saturday night, and I was just like, I don't even want to talk about this movie on Sunday. Like, I need time to sit and think about what the hell I just watched and really just kind of let it simmer there and figure out exactly kind of what I took away from it. And I'm glad that we did. I mean, and obviously we didn't mean to kind of wait this long to talk about it, but it is one of those things where the further I get away from it, I'm just kind of like, I'm more in love with it, honestly. Just because it wasn't afraid to just take it and just weird, unexplained in some ways, and just completely out there directions that, it doesn't feel unwarranted. I mean, that's the whole thing of it. It's extraterrestrial in origin. And I think they even kind of talk about it, with Benedict Wong's character, the whole frame story, which we haven't even talked about to this point at all. Where they're interviewing her after she's come out of the Shimmer. I think Lena might even say it at one point. It's an alien. Like, why are we ascribing human feelings to it? Like, we don't know that it's not here to destroy necessarily. We don't know what it's here for. It might just be, it might just, that's just what it is. And
see, I feel like that's such, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like that if you want to walk away with it with that kind of lookout, I think you're fine. But I think that there's so much human elements inside that alien thing that can be scraped away from it,
Well, I think certainly the whole sequence, I'd say, with Lena and her doppelganger, I guess, the humanoid that it's with, it's like a newborn in some ways, where
right.
It almost feels like it's trying to understand, or for me, I don't really know exactly what the motivations there are. I mean, it's interesting because we see Kane has a fully formed duplicate, and he's conversing with him.
And what did he go back
the duplicate
to?
At one point,
he went back. See, it's interesting. You can explore these thematic elements, man, because obviously it was doppelganger, and from what his wife portrayed, the wife knew about, or he knew about the infidelity, or she thought he knew about the infidelity.
She definitely thought about that. Yeah, that he knew.
Because that was the whole like basis around her character, was the infidelity that she had with the other professor or whatever. But he came back, and he came back changed, and he came back kind of hollow. And I don't know, man. It's just there's just so much dramatic elements to the movie, to where I think if you really dig in to her doppelganger was not fully formed into her. You realize that it was a dark being, and she burned it and she left.
Well, doesn't it become actually like her at one point?
Does it?
I'm pretty sure it does. And then I think that's when she kind of blows it up, and I feel like it kind of reverts back to that stage of it being not fully formed. It's been a few days since we've both seen it, obviously, so that doesn't exactly help us right here, but I'm pretty sure it does look exactly like her for at least a moment.
And then she burns the fuck out of it, right? And then
I think that's when she gives it the grenade. Yeah.
And I think that's right. I think that's accurate, now that I look back on it. But it's I don't know, man. It's so interesting, because I think if you were to watch it and really dwell on what it's trying to portray, I think you'd really walk away from a lot. I just don't. One viewing is not enough.
No, I agree. We need to go back. We have to go back. No, I agree. So, I mean, we're running long here. I feel like we could talk for a long time about this, in spite of the fact that we still in some ways, it almost seems like we haven't scratched the surface on exactly what this movie is about.
Right.
So I will say, just to kind of maybe put a little neat bow as much as I can on kind of what I got out of the movie in terms of my interpretation of it. I mean, it is absolutely about self-destruction. I think that's pretty readily apparent. But I think that what's interesting, at least what I took away from it and I found interesting about it, is that, and Lena and Kane by the end of the movie have been reborn in some capacity. Kane is interesting because it's literally not Kane. It's this figure, but maybe it's a figure that doesn't know about the infidelity. So, he's someone that comes away
just knowing
changed.
Lena. He only knows Lena.
Lena's the only thing he knows, and Lena comes away. Well, I mean, certainly she goes into the Shimmer, I think, and probably in search of redemption.
Absolutely,
for her personal self, where she's looking for the kind of a way to push through what she did, the kind of strain that she's putting on herself, and that's her way, and that's why she fights through to the end. That's why she leaves. She has something to fight for. She's still fighting for Kane. She's still fighting for kind of the redemption of her soul, I guess, kind of by the end of it.
Right, absolutely.
But at the same time, she does come out very changed. Obviously, in a literal sense, we see the irises in the very end. I think that for me, that's just kind of more about her maybe taking some of the capabilities of the Shimmer with her. I don't know exactly what that would mean in a practical sense. But I think that's just, just as a, I think it literally just means that she's just a changed person. I think that she's kind of come out and she's gone through this cycle of self-destruction and she's come out reborn. I think some of the other characters have their self-destruction, but they don't, some of them do come out of it, I'd say, with some sort of meaning. I mean, I struggle to think, for like Shepard, who just gets fucking mauled by a bear, and that's pretty much it for her. And her fate is to be.
She was so much more of a, I don't know, man. Like oh God, there's just so much. There's too much. There's just too much.
There's
shit.
too much. No. Let's say. I mean, so to kind of get back to my point, we'll try to distance ourselves from tangents at this point, but someone like Josie. I talked about it, she finds peace within the Shimmer by becoming one of the flower people or whatever. That seems like a fitting ending for her in some ways, where she's kind of reconciled her, she finally takes, the jacket that's covering her arms off. And, it's no coincidence that the first time we see her expose her arms is the scene that, she kind of reveals herself and becomes one with the world around her. Like, I feel like that's a pretty poetic ending for someone like her. So I don't know exactly if, say Shepard's ending is terribly poetic or anything like that. There's probably something that we can read into it if we saw it multiple times and got more into it. But interestingly for Lena, to kind of, bring it all full circle, he talked about the tattoo that she has. Well, that's an Ouroboros tattoo, which is literally about the infinite cycle of creation and destruction. And I mean, again, it's one of those things, if you kind of know what the symbol means, like the fact that she escapes the Shimmer with that as kind of her brand in some ways, I feel like that's pretty telling that, she's been through that cycle, that was her journey, was, she in some ways was kind of punishing herself for her infidelity, and she had an ultimate drive to get out of there, to return to Kane. As it turns out, they're both changed in some way, they're both reborn in some ways, very different ways in some ways, but at least at the same time, she's come out of there feeling that she's accomplished what she wanted to accomplish, and Kane comes out of there as, I guess, kind of a clean slate in some ways, so that now they can kind of be, one again. They've kind of worked through their differences, their issues and such. So it's it's pretty fucking beautiful. I don't know if I've exactly hit the nail on the head as far as what I was trying to talk about, but for me, in my mind at least, it's a really fucking beautiful tale about two people and about a lot of the characters. I think, like I said, I would be curious to really kind of revisit it and see what I can kind of pull out of maybe some of the other characters, because I feel like I have a decent read on Lena and Kane. But yeah, man, it's a fucking heavy movie, but it's good. Go see it, please. I guess if you're at this point and you just listen to us spoil the shit out of it. It's probably still out of context, and honestly, if you watched it, it'd probably be fine. But no, really, I think you guys owe it to yourselves to at least form your own opinion on it, if nothing else. So that's Annihilation. It's a fucking movie, man.
It's a movie.
What have you been up to?
So I've dove into the Studio Ghibli movies. Ghibli, whatever it is. I've watched Howl's Moving Castle, and I've watched Spirited Away, and I've since bought a bunch of their other movies, and they are pretty incredible. That's what I've been up to all week, pretty much. So I don't know. I really enjoyed Howl's Moving Castle. It's a really sweet little story, and so is Spirited Away. They're sweet little stories. So I'm excited to see what else. I purchased quite a bit of movies from them since I watched those first two. So I'm excited to see what the other ones bring. I'll fill you in what I've watched next episode.
I look forward to it. I've watched Game Night, which also came out this past weekend. It's the one with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams in it. They're like very big on board games and shit, and then they get kind of tied up in a basically, the Jason Bateman's brother sets up this elaborate game of. I don't know, it's hard to say. I don't want to spoil it too much. He kind of sets this elaborate big game up of he gets kidnapped. And they kind of have to play along to follow the clues to figure out where he's gone. It's kind of the setup of it. And I actually saw it in an advanced screening, which it's out now, so it's not really applicable now. But I watched it, I guess, probably about a week ago at this point, and I enjoyed it more than I expected to. Honestly, I didn't think it was amazing. I know it's reviewing pretty well. I think it's better than a lot of comedies that come out these days. Certainly far better directed than a lot of comedies these days. It's got a pretty creative kind of one-shot sequence around the middle, which wasn't expecting, but I thought it was fairly clever. Not every joke lands. Kind of not unexpected in that regard, but pretty charming cast overall. Jesse Plemons is fucking amazing in it. He's the standout for me. And the directors are John Francis Daly and Jonathan M. Goldstein, who they wrote Spider-Man Homecoming, and they're the ones that are supposedly going to direct the Flash movie. So I think this was actually a WB movie, so I can kind of see why WB is keen on them coming back for the Flash. I think they might have the chops for it. Who's to say? I did watch Sunshine, which it was interesting to hear that you had some Blu-ray issues with that. Fucking excellent movie. I mean, you need to get your shit sorted out.
It would have been nice if I could have watched
player
it.
Or what. Yeah, like you should watch it regardless. Like did you try different players or?
No, I just tried the Xbox, and apparently there's a problem with the Blu-ray. I don't know. So apparently I have to call Fox, I guess, so they can send me another Blu-ray. Apparently it's a big deal, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Have you had that Blu-ray for a while?
No, yeah, I've had it forever.
Oh, okay. All right. That might have something to do with it. I actually I thought I had it on Blu-ray, but I couldn't find it, so I just ended up buying it. It was like $7 on Amazon, so I guess maybe the newer print runs are fine, because I didn't have any issues with mine. But yeah, I mean, it's Alex Garland. It's great. It's Danny Boyle, too, and it's great. Really fucking great cast. I forgot how amazing the cast is in that movie. Cillian Murphy is great. Chris Evans, I mean, that's pre-Captain America Chris Evans. And Rose Byrne's in it, Mark Strong, Cliff Curtis. It's a really fucking Michelle Yeoh. Like it's a great cast, and a really fucking amazing premise, and really well executed. So yeah. Make sure you watch that when you can. Get that shit sorted out. Give Fox a buzz and say, hey, what the fuck?
Send me another thing.
Stop making fucking Marvel movies while you're at it. All right, yeah, that's it for me. We've been going pretty long, so we'll call it here for this week. Hopefully next week won't be as news heavy. I think we might have gotten that all out of the way. So for you guys that have stuck around to this point, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Watch Review Repeat. we appreciate you guys' support. If you guys want to kind of support us, you can head over to patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat or watchreviewrepeat.com/premium. And you'll find our Patreon, in which you'll have the ability to chip in a couple bucks to us on a monthly basis. In return, we'll get you access to bonus episodes, first of which is up right now, covering Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Phase 2 should be coming relatively shortly. We don't have an exact date set up for that, but it's definitely in the pipeline at this point. So cool things to look forward to there. You'll get early access to all of our regular episodes, and you get to help us out. So, I mean, it's a win-win for everyone. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com, and we are on all social media platforms. Well, not Instagram, I guess. We don't really have an Instagram presence. No, doesn't really seem worth it to me at the time when we're making all these things. So, search for us on Facebook, follow us at WRRPod on Twitter, follow me personally on Twitter if you'd like, at Cbro360, follow Andrew at DMeadows91 to look at all of his non-existent posts. Questions, comments, suggestions, send them to us, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. We're vigilantly monitoring at all times. Well, at least I am. I have it attached to my personal account, so makes it pretty easy. Intro, outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, Incompetech.com, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And, last but not least, next week we're going to be talking Red Sparrow with Jennifer Lawrence. And it's going to be a movie. That's my bold prediction. It's going to be a movie. What do you think about that?
We'll see how it is.
Yeah. Got any last words you'd like to give it to our listeners?
Adios. Have a good night.